This webinar for Cambridge Marketing College is called SEO and AIO, the future of search. Now, if you think search engine optimization is a historic trending thing, you will be certainly amazed by what is actually happening in the field of digital marketing right now. There is a new kid on the block, AIO, also called GEO or Generative Engine Optimization. I prefer to call it AIO, AI optimization, because for me, it is a lot broader a topic than the way that we've thought about search engine optimization in the past. So blending traditional search engine optimization, SEO, with AI era strategies will give you much more visibility for your brand, increased engagement, and hopefully ultimately growth for your products and services. So in this session, we're going to explore how marketers can optimize for both search engines and AI assistants, who are often doing search for humans. And we're going to ensure that your content remains discoverable in a very, very dynamically shifting digital landscape. So we're going to look at some practical tools. We're going to look at the current theory, which is emerging. I have to say, it's not set in stone. This is an emerging field, but also actionable tactics are included in this session as well, because you need to be able to know what to do next. So why is SEO changing? Well, traditional SEO still matters. It really does. You still need to be found when people are searching in a more traditional way. But AI-driven discovery is transforming how your customers and your prospects are going to be finding and interacting with you. Search is shifting very much from keywords and your position in the search engine results pages to more conversational assistance and what we might call zero-click results. And we'll come on to some of those things in a moment. In the last year, 58% of consumers have used generative AI, ChatGPT and the like, for search tasks. That's Statista 2025 as a reference source for you there. So that's nearly 2/3 of people have experimented using the likes of ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, and many others as well for finding information and knowledge and insights. So this is happening. This is not a future thing, but it is the future of search, this blend of hybrid optimization, as we're going to call it. So let's just for a minute take a little bit of a backward step, just for clarity before we begin properly. So let's define SEO. SEO, search engine optimization, is optimizing for ranking in traditional search engines, the likes of Google, Bing, YouTube even. AIO, artificial intelligence optimization, or GEO, generative engine optimization, which some people are calling it, is optimizing for AI-driven assistants and LLMs, large language models. And these AI assistants are tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini that I mentioned before. Now, these tools together will form a dual strategy for discovering your brand. So if you have been doing SEO, you need to get into AIO. If you've been doing a lot of AI activity at the moment, you mustn't forget SEO. So these two things are going to work hand in hand for the foreseeable future. And that's what we're going to explore here today. Now, this is all about information retrieval, and there is a theory, information retrieval theory, which basically tells us that we need to make our content, our information, the knowledge, the products, the services, the messages, the propositions, in fact, everything we want to communicate, simple and straightforward to retrieve. So information retrieval theory basically says that search engines index, rank, and retrieve information based on relevance to the person who's doing the searches. Now, the difference here is that AI assistants generate answers based on probability and context. In other words, the quality of the prompt that has gone into them. So this is a different way of thinking here. So marketers have got to optimize both structured content, SEO, and also what we call semantic relevance, AIO. In other words, the way that the context affects the output. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. Now, there are many different ways that the algorithms, both within the AI tools and within the likes of Google for more traditional search, actually work. So, what they're looking at in an overarching sense is experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So there's some things in here which are really key, and we need to retain this stuff. The amount of experience or thought leadership and expertise that you can convey in your messages. In other words, you are the trusted source, if you like, to go to because you're reliable, you're honest, you've been there for some time, you know what you're talking about. So that's an important thing to be using when you're creating content. The trustworthiness thing is really key. Responsible marketing basically says we have to be open, authentic, honest, and true at all times in our communication. And that is now being picked up by the algorithms. And AI assistants are much more likely to surface content that's well cited, original, and credible. In other words, they are looking for that kind of a position in content creation. So, from a practical sense, if you can add author biographies, if you can add your original sources from where your ideas are coming from, obviously, if there's any kind of reliable references that you can also draw on, advocacy for those sources, of course, as well, and any unique insights that you can bring into your content. This is true thought leadership. Think about the topics and subjects that you talk about or communicate. This is what these two forms of optimization are looking for from you. This real kind of integrity, I suppose, really is at the center of all of this. And that is what is going to score well as we take this thing forward. Now, traditional keyword research, and a lot of us will be very familiar with this with tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, etc., many, many of those. And they've always focused on high intent, long tail keywords. They've looked also at search volume versus competition. In other words, how competitive are these high intent, long tail keywords? And if everybody's writing the same content and all going after the same words, then yeah, the search volume might be there, but they're super competitive. And often we find now that these are featuring snippets of content that are coming back actually in the search results for people who search on what you do. And the most reliable, most trustworthy, the content with the most integrity, to be honest, is what is going to be featured in those search results. And that's the more traditional keyword result search. But here with AIO and this introduction of this new kind of future proofing of search is we need to be looking for conversational search keywords. So our focus will shift from just simple long tail phrases to very natural language questions. So we're going to see this play out instead of maybe saying, show me the best running shoes, where you might actually put in the prompt, which running shoes are best for flat feet for marathon running? And so, very much thinking about natural language as the way that both you and I are going to search, but also our customers are going to be searching into the future. So, long tail phrases, yes, still kind of relevant, but as we go forward, much more conversational content, natural language, as we call it, is going to be the way. So, your content needs to both be answering these more natural language questions directly, as well as maybe including them as part of the content in itself. So what we're really advocating here as we get into this very, very quickly is that we're seeing clearly that building a keyword hybrid strategy is clear. So if we map transactional keywords, SEO, alongside conversational prompts, AIO, then we are going to win. So be thinking at a hybrid level here. So an SEO keyword approach here might be, give me CRM software pricing. But an AIO query would be, what's the most affordable CRM for a 10-person marketing team? So do you see what's happening here? Rather than as a complete, kind of novice or as a consumer, sort of thinking, well, let me see if I can preempt or guess what is going to bring the best result, is to actually just settle back, take a deep breath and think, what do I actually need? Because I and my AI assistant, who's going out now and doing this search on my behalf, and of course, that is what ChatGPT is doing when you prompt it, is it's going to be looking for things that are interacting on a more conversational level. So that's much easier for me as a searcher, or for me as a prompter, and me as your customer to find you through natural language. It's much less of an ask, it's much less friction bound. It's much easier, basically, is what we're saying. And with SEO, we always look at kind of things like on-page optimization. So the kind of typical on-page essentials are the metadata, the headers, the schema markup, internal links within content, image optimization. We all know about that one and how important it is. Alt text, descriptions, text titles on images, for example. And also the really important stuff like page load speed and, of course, mobile first indexing. All of these things over the last few decades have been how you optimize on page for the traditional standard search engines. But now think about this with more natural language, AI on page techniques for optimizing for AI assistants is going to be writing in natural language with frequently asked questions, for example, and then clear question answer formats. So the FAQ pages become ever more important. Using structured data to help AI pass information back to then an interpretation. So the AI can actually present back to you as a customer or as a prospect or as a searcher or to you and I can actually then send back evidence-based references so that the AI can actually cite the content as part of a longer story because you know how your favorite AI works. It comes back to you with a conversation. And so that is kind of almost sort of gelling that and helping to fuel that kind of conversation where we are part of it as a brand or as a product or as a service. So we're going to try and make our lives easier by making the AI assistant's life easier too. So as it passes back its conversational answer to the searcher who's put in the prompt, we need to be part of that conversation with natural language clarity in the answers that we put into our content. So content depth and breadth is going to change. SEO rewards typical authority by clusters of content around themes. Again, that's where thought leadership has kind of been born, really, is you identify some topics, you cluster your content through blogs, news articles, and white papers, and you get topical authority by doing that. You're very clear to the likes of Google as to kind of how you stand versus your competitors. But AI optimization rewards context-rich, multi-perspective content. In other words, what we need to be doing then is building pillar pages in areas with FAQs, with case studies, links to supporting posts, and much more seeing it almost like as a publishing house would create a magazine article or some kind of digital publication. So the multiple perspective, different ideas, collaborative and very co-created posting. So if you can work in collaboration with others, cross-referencing, cross-sourcing, and cross-working in terms of your content creation, you stand a much better chance of actually being relevant in AI search. So what we're going to see is a proliferation of new writing tools. I mean, we're already seeing them. Obviously, a lot of us have used ChatGPT to experiment with creating content that can be put into our blogs or our newsletter articles and the like. But we're going to be seeing now AI writing tools for SEO and AIO in a hybrid sense. This is going to become really, really interesting as we go deeper into this. Surfer SEO, for example, content scores against SERP competitors. Phrase with an F, Frase, identifies gaps and can recommend improvements for your content. A Neuron Writer optimizes for semantic search. So it is well worth having a little play with some of these tools and seeing which ones resonate with your hybrid search strategy. An example content creation workflow is also really important to begin to build. So you don't need to just be kind of replicating and duplicating what you've traditionally done, but you need to be blending these things together. So maybe a starting point is to research keywords and AI queries with a blend of Ahrefs and Perplexity. Maybe use a SEO tool and an AI tool to get this lovely blend of keywords and AI queries. Then draft a first piece of an article with phrase or for SEO, and then manually edit for voice and ethics to make sure it's in line with your brand style and tone of voice. Publish with structured data in the traditional way, so maybe optimizing then for your traditional Google search, and tracking via Google Analytics and maybe Search Console to see what happens and to see how, in theory, you can then stimulate more search coming from the Google, not the Google, rather the AI tools that we're talking about here, the search that comes inbound and hitting your website from ChatGPT. And if you look at your search results and you look at your analytics and you think, oh, well, actually, we're not really, seeing any Google. We're seeing a lot of Google traffic. We're not seeing a lot of AI traffic right now. Well, then there's still work to be done. It's not that it's not there. It's not, as we've seen from the statistics, that your potential customers aren't doing it and using AI. They are, but it's whether or not you're yet being found. So that little content creation workflow is encouraging us in a hybrid sense to think both AI and traditional SEO in one. And of course, there will be some technical things that you can be sort of doing to index for both SEO and AIO. Technical SEO musts are XML sitemaps, core web vitals compliance, HTTPS security, of course, that always scores well, canonical tags, and these are still foundational for visibility in traditional search. As you're focusing on AI, do not cannibalize your SEO results. You need to still be doing good by Google as you bring in the AIO indexing. And AI-ready technical elements will ensure your content is crawlable by AI. It's got to be open access versus paywall. What do you want to put in for free versus something that's behind well, you've got to subscribe before you get this information, because not many people's AI tools at the moment can actually subscribe on your behalf. If you get the pro account, some of those will be able to log in and create accounts on your behalf as agents, but not everybody's using agents yet. So making sure a lot of your top quality content is free to access, using API accessible formats where possible, and implementing Q&A schema to make information machine readable. That's key. Remember, now your indexing and now your optimization is focused not just on humans, but on, well, let's call them agents or robots or assistants coming on behalf of other humans to find you. That's really, really specific. So we're going to see some platform-specific strategies where we're seeing this kind of almost battle for the high ground between Google search versus AI assistants. And so it is time really to start creating an optimized strategy for direct citation so that you are going to be found, and providing AI assistants with simple single answer outputs for the kinds of questions that they're going to be asking. And they are. Think about your customer, the kind of natural language they're going to be putting in as a prompt to find you. Because many people now, and an increasing number, are not going straight to the Google search bar. They go into their favorite AI tool. And if they do that, what kinds of questions are they actually asking? And if you take it even more broadly than that and think about, the platform-specific strategies for things like YouTube and video SEO, YouTube still remains a top search engine. It is still one of the biggest search engines on the planet. So we are still going to be optimizing in a traditional sense, but we now need to start optimizing with the transcripts, with the keyword rich descriptions, maybe chapters within our videos so that we can really make life easier for the AI assistants, because they will often, even now, start to recommend video results alongside the text results that they serve back to their supportive humans. And of course, with social search optimization, we can't lose the fact that social media is still a big thing. Not everybody is using just traditional search or AI search now. Think about it within your search social platforms. Gen Z uses TikTok and Instagram as significant search engines for whatever it is they're doing or looking for. So using keyword captions, alt text, and native SEO tools will help you to make sure that your content is still very relevant and specific. A TikTok example for SEO can include keywords in on-screen text and spoken audio, for example. So don't lose sight of the fact that on the periphery, maybe, of your core optimization strategy, you need to be attending to some of these kind of sort of left field things for many of us, particularly if we're working in B2B, but still really significant. And these will develop the really good habits that take us forward in this new future of search as it evolves. So SEO metrics that still matter when we come on to measuring how this stuff plays out are things like organic traffic. Yes, obviously that is still super important to most of us. Keyword rankings. Yeah, we do want to be high on the search results. The click-through rates from those search results. Ultimately, this isn't just about optimizing, beating the competition at AIO and SEO. This is actually about click-through rates and getting people onto a journey. And by going on that journey, it is about a significant analytic or metric is bounce rate and dwell time when they land, where they land on your website. So all of that stuff is still really important. But because we're now taking this hybrid approach, making sure that you're bringing in AIO metrics as well. So introduce these in, citation frequency in AI generated answers. Those trackable with tools like ChatGPT Browse, monitoring scripts, for example. The referral traffic from AI-powered search. Look for sources like perplexity.ai in your Google Analytics results in terms of inbound traffic to your site. You will see it if you begin to do this stuff, and then you'll know that you're future-proofing your website and your digital footprint. And engagement with conversational formats. If you create a new frequently asked page and you're using chatbots or beginning those pilot studies for using AI to empower the customer experience, look at the AIO metrics and see how that is beginning to play out in the success of those particular tools that you've introduced. Conversational formats will become ever more important to you. So let's begin today and make those things happen. And what I'm really advocating here is some kind of blended KPI dashboard, key performance indicators that show this hybrid approach, combining SEO and AIO metrics into one single dashboard that maybe plays out through your customer's journey. Awareness, maybe have impressions and AI mentions. Consideration stage, maybe have engagement rate and AI-driven referrals. Maybe at conversion stage, have leads and attributable sales from search AIO. So a tool that can help you to integrate these things could be Looker Studio. Many others are available, but that's a good one to start to play with if you want to create a blended KPI dashboard. Play with that one and see what you want to do. But as you begin to build out a hybrid strategy, really taking seriously this opportunity of AIO, do not see some over-reliance on AI-generated content without reviewing it. Try to avoid just using AI to produce the content to support AI search or AI optimization. Ignoring accessibility and inclusivity and optimization will get you into deep water. All of the good stuff that you've always done in your digital optimization will apply when you're sticking to AI. Keyword stuffing instead of focusing on user intent is key. Just because you can get great AIO in the short term, you do not need to be literally cannibalizing or ruin your long-term goal or success by just stuffing keywords or just doing frequently asked answered questions for the sake of it. Doing quality over quantity is always going to win out in the short, medium, and long term. And so those are things that are really, really important to think about as you build this. It is about, as I say, responsible marketing. So as you begin to prepare for the future, think voice search and multimodal AI, text, image, and video. You will see there will be greater regulation on AI transparency. Every single day, there are new features, new regulations, and new kind of rules in play coming into force. So keep your eye on these emerging guidelines and things that we need to be using and doing. And there will be an increased emphasis on trust and verified sources in search ranking. So when you're doing stuff with quality, know that you are protecting yourself in the future. I've used the phrase thought leadership a number of times here. Thought leaders will win out over everybody else in the future. They always have, but this is going to put it at scale. So if you can find topics that you can do traditional search engine optimization for, and now start to get into more conversational answering of conversational prompts using AI optimization, then that will certainly help in your combined hybrid search rankings. So your next practical steps, just to get you started, I hopefully have just whetted your appetite here in this session. And your next steps are going to be audit your SEO currently for the basics, the speed, the metadata, and the structure. What is your current SEO strategy? Traditional. And then add in an AIO layer. Add in some frequently asked and now frequently answered questions. Add in more conversational content. Add in some structured data to make life easier for the AIs that are coming searching on your site. Experiment with AI-focused keyword tools, some of those that I've identified for you, and create at the same time a blended KPI dashboard, blending SEO and AIO, probably now in equal measure. And review quarterly as the search behaviors evolve in the people who are arriving on your site and those that you would like to arrive on your site. Maybe this hybrid approach for optimizing your search and your kind of footprint digitally will enable people who've never heard of you before to now find you. That would really be the ultimate goal in this strategy. And as a final reflection, what I would suggest is that the marketers who thrive into the future will master both SEO fundamentals and this new AIO adaptation. They're going to ensure that visibility is there wherever audiences search and wherever their agents are searching. Because search is now focusing on both our customers and the AI agents they have searching and making decisions on their behalf. That to me is the future of SEO and AIO and the future of search.